who go to the final.
Absolutely superb.
One final push. The Investec Champions Cup Final, live today on Premier Sports 1.
J-Coupe, official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup.
Cardiff awaits a season-long odyssey will be decided here today in this rugby capital. An echo of 30 years ago when a fledgling competition emerged blinking into the bright glare of the professional age. Since then it's bulked up, buffed up, forged legends, broken hearts, entertained, enthralled, but one thing stays the same. The heartbeat that leapt to life 3 decades ago is as strong as ever. Yes, it's 30 years since Emile Ntamack and his Toulouse players became the first kings of Europe. I'm delighted to say I've been joined by two men who know exactly what it takes to lift club rugby's ultimate prize. Lawrence Dallaglio, Pat Lamb, champions, of course. Gentlemen, we focus on the players, but we look around the streets of Cardiff, and this is what it's all about as well. As players, did you feed off this energy?
Oh, 100%. I mean, what a great day in Cardiff. You got the French, you got the Saints. Wonderful stadium to be able to host us, and this is the biggest of all tournaments in European rugby. This is why everyone wants to star on that jersey.
Well, you've made friends with a particular Frenchman there. He really, really likes you. Lawrence, 30 years ago when this tournament was mooted and it was breathed into life, did you sense then that something special was being created?
Well, I think it was inevitable, really. You know, international rugby. Obviously, had the European Cup in football, so to try and replicate that and get some of the the clubs playing in the biggest competition of all. So it was very exciting amongst the players. I know that much. It was, to play again, because you didn't have that many opportunities to play against international players unless you were picked for your country. So very, very exciting indeed.
Yeah, we kind of got used to that, haven't we? We play with players from all over the world. And Pat, to have it here in Cardiff, this is a special stadium and a special city.
Well, I've said many times, it's my favourite stadium. The roof closed, the atmosphere just goes up another level. And as Lawrence said, the players, the staff, the community, everyone, this is huge. This is where everyone wants to be. And to play it on this stage and in this city is always one of the highlights of everyone's career.
There's always favourites coming into the game. They're the underdogs. Wasps were the scrappers.
Yeah.
They probably overachieved. Did this competition draw something extra out of your team?
Yeah, listen, it was the budgets that you were playing against, particularly with the French clubs. It was very, very different. But I think what's so lovely about this weekend is that there's a real excitement. Two new teams in the final. Obviously Northampton won back in 2000, but there's no Toulouse, no La Rochelle, no Leinster, so it's got a real new feeling about it, and you've got two excited sets of fans and a new winner. If we can put the Northampton win a long time ago, so that creates a different excitement amongst this competition.
25 years ago, how did that feel? Can you still remember the sensations?
Oh, 100%. Blessed to be there. My son was born today. Happy birthday, Josiah, because I wasn't supposed to be at the game. I was supposed to be at his birth, but he came 3 days earlier, which allowed me to be there. So it was brilliant and lovely. Great memories.
Great preparation, well done indeed. Well, 24 teams kick this tournament off, crisscrossing Europe and South Africa. It's been distilled down to 2. One huge game still to come, and all you need to do is sit back and enjoy the show.
Am I safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, then we go wide. Yeah.
Aggressive. So I thought we said the word. Perfect. So here we are. Welcome to Cardiff. 2 sides remain. The Investec Champions Cup Final. Or, as we in the television industry like to call it, the finale. which, as we all know, is French. Italian. But our story began long before now. 30 years ago, in fact, in this very city, but not on this field. The reason I was clicking my fingers, I had this idea that, like in the edit, you know, you can sort of magic me over to Arms Park.
It's Italian.
Yeah, I know it's Italian, mate. I just did it. What is wrong? I said it. Look, just concentrate on this bit now. If I click my fingers, can you do that? Yeah? Fine. But not on this field. This is where our story begins, when Toulouse came into our very own backyard and beat Cardiff to become the first ever European champions. Since then, there's been plenty more dramatic moments here too.
Fully controlled, Australia! Sexton looks for his second, and he's going to get his second! Greatness personified.
Every season has its heroes, its villains, and its plot twists. What was it Freddie said?
How can you not be romantic about the Champions Cup?
But now, it's time to enter the Dragon's Den once more. European rugby history on the line. And just look at our cast. This is it, boys. The camera's rolling. Know your role. Hit your lines. But don't be afraid to rip up the script.
A supersonic finish sends the Gardens into overdrive. The irresistible Bordeaux flyer. Freddie Bailey's going to get the hat-trick. BLBLA! He really is a showman. Are you not entertained? Northampton are going to the final.
Champions Cup finale starts now on Premier Sports.
It's Italian.
Yeah, I know. What is wrong with you? Can we get rid of him? Who is he? Well, he's paying. It's Italian.
Well, we have all the ingredients for an epic finale here on Premier Sports. Bordeaux, dangerous, menacing, yet to taste a major honour. Northampton, a European star, proudly emblazoned above their crest, but that was earned a quarter of a century ago. The teams are arriving, so let's head down to Claire and Benjamin Cater in the tunnel.
Well, on an overcast day in Cardiff, the Stade Chabon-Damas feels an awfully long way away, 781 miles to be precise. But, Benjamin, this lot play the sort of rugby that could brighten up even the most overcast of days, don't they?
Absolutely exciting, attacking pace, agility, a full French backline that is just, proving to be an attacking force. They are currently with Toulouse, head and shoulders the best team in France, absolutely. But now it's about backing up that huge statement, and when by beating Toulouse in the semi-final today, it's the day to do it, isn't it?
I know it's anathema to you to do so, but imagine you're a Northampton Saints fan for a moment. Which of these athletes is striking fear into your heart?
Look, I'm only a newly retired, but every time I look at those blokes, I forget how big they are, how solid they are, how fast they are. So I think it's a force, it's a capacity to play from minute 1 to minute 80 that is really relentless about them. It's the the danger that is either by creativity, by finishing power, by scrummaging power. So I think I'd be scared of absolutely every single one of them.
Well, pretend to be the same Northampton fan for a moment more as Big Ben Tamofuna walks past and proves your previous point. Is there any hope that a case of the yips might remain within this side? They imploded in the top 14 final against Toulouse, 59 points to 3 at the Stade Velodrome, and they came unstuck in their own backyard against Quins in the quarter-finals. Could there still be some psychological scars?
Which was a huge surprise, which was a huge disappointment to them and to also all the Bordeaux fans. Now, I think they've grown, they've matured, they've learned together through that adversity. They certainly proved a strong case by beating Toulouse, the reigning champions in the semi-final, convincingly. I think the Six Nations force and power and dynamism from the Louis Bielbiaré and Damien Penaud and stuff, and Deporter coming back, Moefana being very strong at 12, are big arguments. But no, all those arguments don't mean a thing. After 18 minutes, they don't have their hands on the trophy, and today's the day to prove it.
Well, Goody, as the boys roll in, the Northampton Saints are here. They'll know full well that they've been waiting 25 long years for a European trophy. Mate, talk to me. What will the nerves be like? Because there's a couple of young blokes that weren't even born 25 years ago, the likes of Finn Smith, Henry Pollock. Nervous?
Yeah, I think there'll be a bit of nerves, but let's not forget they won the Premiership final last year, so they've got big game experience. I got a nice little welcome there from Curtis Langdon as well. They're confident. They're a very tight bunch, so they'll bounce off each other. There's going to be nerves. It's a huge day, right? Champions Cup final. Some players comes around once a career, twice a career. For you, it didn't come round, but it's an amazing day, and ultimately they'll bounce off each other's energy as well.
He's started already.
Touched up everywhere.
Squeezes, yeah. Mate, looking at that Leinster game a few weeks back, semi-final, the way that they went over there, everyone pretty much wrote them off. That will stand them in good stead, the way they went about that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, outside of Northampton, there wouldn't have been many people that had given them a chance, and that's the respect to the Leinster and how good they are. But they climbed the mountain. They were unbelievable, physical. Defensively, they're on point. They've got superstars in Henry Pollock. His try was a real difference maker. Finn Smith ran the show, created the break for the Freeman try early in the first half, and it was a wonderful day for them. They've got to reproduce that, get to those energy levels, those physicality levels, because there's a few big bits of kit in this Bordeaux team, and that's what they've got to try and get to.
Well, I won't say big bits of kit, but the budget for Premier Sports has properly been blown, because we're going to throw this to a couple more pundits, I think in the shape of Tom Shanklin, John Barclay, who are with Ross Harris.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ryan. Thank you, gentlemen. We are up here in the comfortable seats. Not the kind of place to go if you've got vertigo, very high up on the 5th tier. John Barclay alongside me, so too Tom Shanklin. And Shanks, this in the minds of many is the greatest rugby stadium in the world. You've played here loads of times, synonymous of course with the competition, as Martin said earlier. 8 times it's hosted the final, including today. What are your memories of this place?
Well, I may be a little bit biased, but it is an incredible place. As a player, you're sitting in the change room and you can hear the vibrations, you can hear the noise, you come down through the tunnel and then it just opens up to a massive, massive crowd. But I think as a fan, it's even better, because the experience starts when you turn up in town and you've got the bars, you've got the restaurants, you look at your watch, you think, right, there's 20 minutes to go before we get there. You walk to the stadium, you walk past Tasker Watkins, who's one of the greatest Welshmen ever, president of the WRU, won a Victoria Cross during World War II. Then you get to your seat,
good knowledge,
and it opens up, and you're so close to the ground as well. You're so close to the pitch. It makes it intense. You can have interaction there, and it's incredible. And that's why everyone votes it, I think, probably the best stadium in the world.
You are biased, but I'm happy to let that go. It's the kind of place that inspires players as well, John, doesn't it? Whether or not you're an opposition player, as you were several times for Scotland, or just teams like Northampton and Bordeaux coming here and playing in this grand citadel of rugby. Now, Northampton are the underdogs again today, but they were the underdogs against Leinster, and that turned out OK for them.
Yeah, it went all right with them, didn't it? Look, I think Tom's right. You come here, played here a number of times with Scarlets in Scotland, and if they've never played here, there's nothing that can quite prepare for you. Even if you played at the Alliance, you've played in Dublin, wherever you've been, there is nowhere like it in world rugby that produces the same level of noise. So the fact that they've been over in Dublin and won the way they did, and the interesting thing for me after that game, Finn Smith spoke at length about nobody gave them a chance. And it's very easy to be the underdog in that situation. You use that as fuel, as motivation, and after game it's very easy. That was part of how we prepared for this game. The question that will be asked is, was that their peak? Was that their emotional peak that they did in the semi-final? You see that a lot. You see people in World Cup semi-final, they're celebrating like they've won it. The good thing about Northampton, they celebrate, but it didn't feel like they were celebrating like it was a final.
25 years ago, Shanks, it was 9-8 when Northampton won their only trophy. 9-8 against Munster. The way this Northampton vintage plays, as we saw against Leinster, and indeed Bordeaux, who are averaging 49 points a game in this campaign, it's not going to be a 2-score slugfest, is it?
No, look, you put these two teams and the players into any AI software, you know, the results are going to be an incredible game. It cannot not be. I think with the lineups you've got and the way both teams want to play, they want to play the width, they play fast, high-tempo rugby. It cannot be. I think it's going to be tries galore. The roof is closed as well, so conditions are going to be absolutely perfect. It's going to be loud. You just hope that they don't tighten up, and I don't think they will, because I don't think they've got that in them.
It's going to be 9-6 now after you said that, isn't it? Yeah. I really, really hope not. So a quarter of a century, as Martin says, has passed since Northampton won their first and only Champions Cup to date. But these latter-day Saints are looking to make history of their own today. And Martin Bayfield is right in the thick of it.
We are in the thick of it. Good timing as the Saints players come out to make their way onto the pitch. We just had Matthew Jalibert and Joey Carberry go out as well. We'll let them go past. And it seems, gentlemen, quite appropriate to be looking at the whole team Benjamin Kayser going out as a group because, God, that's a lot of them, isn't there? Because team spirit has been a massive part of this team. It's been a massive part of the build-up. I can't remember it being such a driving force in the narrative before a game. And it's a major part for these players.
Look, we always repeat how much of a team sport rugby is. It's always going to be the differentiator, and I think Ryan Whistle said there's a tremendous amount of pundits and talents around here, but none of us can give you an absolute guarantee of who is going to win given the talent that is lined up. However, we know that it's going to be a tough game. We know there's going to be ups and downs. We know there's going to have to be togetherness to get themselves out of really, really tough positions. Louis Bielbiaré will cause trouble. Finn Smith will find space. It's not even a question. And so this togetherness is not just nice to have. It's going to be central. It's going to be key. You're going to see it in defensive moments. You're going to see it the way that they handle the adversity and the discipline. For me, it will always be the differentiator. So it's not just a cool thing, you know, to market it. It's absolutely core to performance.
I've paused here because just over your shoulders, gentlemen, is a rather big piece of silverware. That could be a distraction pad to the players. How important is it to make sure there are no distractions, that the players are on message?
Today, there's so much belief. Belief is the key, and that comes back from the work that you've done, the belief in the game plan, belief in the relationships they've built. And so today, I think about 25 years ago, we hardly trained, we were broken, everyone thought we were gone, but we came out. And I see these guys here, you know, they've had some injuries and so forth, but they'll come out with a lot of belief and fire, particularly in that first 20 minutes.
Lawrence, Fraser Dingwall has been an instrumental part of this team. Yeah. And what they're talking about is this is a group of players who've grown up together. They're still young men, but they spent a lot of time. He and George Furbank have come through the academy together. So when they talk about team spirit, it hasn't been manufactured. It's genuine, it's real, it's important to them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the sign of a good team is they have a number of players that have all come through the academy, and then they brought in players from outside, like Kemeny and one or two others, and you get this real kind of gelling of the side. And the rugby's done now at this point of the game. It's all about what's happening upstairs in your mind and what's happening in your heart, and they're going to have to dig deep. The relationships that these guys have forged over the last however many years, it's about digging deep. They did that in Dublin, they tore up the script, and they can do it again.
Benjamin, what about Bordeaux? It's a slightly more manufactured team, but they have the biggest attendances in the French top 14. They've also had hardship that they've had to learn from. They were thumped by Toulouse in the top 14 final. You get a feeling that they are digging into that the same way that Northampton lent on their defeat to Leinster last season.
It's a relatively young club overall. It comes from a union of, you know, Stade Bordelais and Bègles Bordeaux, without getting too technical. And so this team has been through hardship, but it's always been also very stuck to a way of playing rugby. They want to be tough up front, but they want to put pace. They want to put accuracy. And so they've always stuck to their guns with disappointment. Losing to the quarterfinal at home with 25,000 people in front of Quins was a massive disappointment and a big upset. And obviously getting thumped by Toulouse in that manner was particularly disappointing. However, in the Six Nations, you see the key players delivering. And you see Mathieu Jalibert becoming even more the chief orchestrator that he already was within that team. You see the belief staying there. Laurent Marty, the president, is building a long-term project. Yannick Bru has always never been questioned as is he the man for the job. And then you face Toulouse in the semi-final, a little bit like Northampton had to do. Nobody gave him a chance, even if their own backyard, and they took it by the horns and they delivered. Now, are they going to win 10 in a row? I don't know, but it's there to be stolen. It's there to be taken back to Bordeaux, put in their cupboard, and nobody will be taken away from them.
Henry Pollock said that the Northampton Saints had a connection that he didn't think Leinster had in that semi-final. It's tough though, Pat, isn't it, to keep going back to the well, to keep going back to that point and saying, come on, that energy is going to take us through another massive encounter.
It is tough, but not when it's a Champions Cup final. I mean, this is the game for every club, where everyone wants to be, because, you know, I remember with Northampton, it's a small town with great rugby supporters. But when you win one, when you get a star, that rugby club is now known right throughout the world. You know, Southern Hemisphere watch these games, everyone watches these games, so they'll put their bodies on the line for one more game, and this is everything for them.
What do the French make of Saints of Northampton? Does it register?
Everybody knows about the 2000 title, trust me, because exactly what Pat said. As soon as you get that star, you're within that pristine elite group of clubs, irrespective of the nationality or the country, that has done this incredible achievement. Now, if you do it 5 times, it strikes a different chord, of course. But we are in love with this competition because we like the clashes of difference. We like the trips away. And so they know Northampton, they know the pace. Currently, generally, when you know Mitchell, Finn Smith, and Freeman, they scored a try against France that took it in the Six Nations, so everybody knows who they are. And so certainly it's not a nobody club because of that star, and they know they're going to have to be up for it.
Okay, well, I mentioned Fraser Dingwall, how important he is to Northampton Saints. We've managed to collar him. He's with Claire and Ryan.
Fraser, I was lucky enough to arrive a bit early yesterday and I caught a bit of your team run. You were playing every sport apart from rugby, it seems. Are you just as relaxed today?
Yeah, very much so. I think we're not going to change, not really depending on the occasion. So yeah, we do that every single day before the game, and it is very much a lot of hand-eye stuff, just getting the boys fired up. But yeah, all very relaxed.
Tom Pearson's a wicked overhand bowler.
Yeah, it's not a bad person to have in travelling as well, is it? Yeah, there's a few good cricketers about.
There have been all these little expressions listed across this extraordinary campaign of yours. Our story, take a swing, why not us? What's been this week's?
Well, I think we've spoken about much of the same stuff. I think what we're always going to pull back to is our connection as a group, and that's what's really drives a lot of our performances around how close this squad is and how much belief we have within the way we play. So it's all going to be similar themes we're playing on today.
The thing is, I'm sure this has been mentioned because it always does get mentioned coming into these big finals, but how are you going about not playing the occasion, just playing the game? Has Dowson been speaking about that this week?
Yeah, of course, and that's the hardest challenge of these kind of games. I think, thankfully enough, we've had a lot of experience in big games already this year, whereby we've gone to tough places and come on the right side of results. So I've got full confidence that we're able to replicate those same feelings. But as you said, until you get out there, you don't really know what the intensity is like. So in those moments, it's all about how we can just stay connected as a group and keep feeding back to each other rather than getting lost in the noise of it all.
And are you going to be in charge of just holding a few boys back? Because Henry Pollock looks like he's bouncing off the walls already.
I think there's a layer of holding people back, isn't there? I think someone like that, you want to let go as much as you can. So yeah, I want the boys flying around. So no, I'm not going to be pulling back too much.
There we go. All the best, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Massive thanks for your time. Really kind of you to swing by. I'm going to emulate your captain's run, Ryan. Give me marks out of 10. How's this? Back to the studio.
2, 3.
Of course, Henry Pollock's bouncing off the walls. He's only any better. Fraser Dingwall, such an important and impressive individual. He will be a key man for Northampton Saints today. We're going to take a breather. Boy, oh boy, do we need it. Come back after the break as we continue our build-up to the Investec Champions Cup Final.
J-Coup, official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup.
Dulux Standard 2.5 litre coloured emulsion, now £15. Feel as proud as a peacock with Wix.
Right now, UNICEF is supporting millions of children in emergencies around the world. It's what they do. Teams are bringing emergency supplies to children affected by the crisis in Gaza, healthcare and safe spaces for Ukraine's children, and medical supplies for children in Yemen. A monthly gift of £10 could help bring safe drinking water and life-saving therapeutic food, whatever children need when emergencies hit. To find out how you can help, search UNICEF Supplies online or text supplies to 84902. UNICEF works with communities to withstand disaster. Your donation will help them be there for children in the face of every crisis. Search UNICEF Supplies online or text supplies to 84902. Your support brings hope for children caught in crisis and helps UNICEF build a better world for every child.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £100 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
Result.
Yeah, well, we've shown conviction and it was an unbelievable finish.
Alice?
It was never going to be easy, but I liked what I saw tonight. Everyone gave 110%.
But can they do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke?
Well, Peter, we are in Stoke and it is cold. And raining.
Yes. That's right.
Plumbing.
Welcome to Loftus.
Kane and Mooney, who fires again.
This is our house.
It's Darcy Graham, he's there.
Let's go.
What a finish from James Lang.
Vodacom Bulls versus Edinburgh, live next Saturday on Premier Sports 1.
JQ, official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup.
Well, if the players are excited about Cardiff, the fans are too. It is quite the rugby capital. A good number of them would have enjoyed last night's Challenge Cup final, which saw Bath lift the trophy, having defeated Lyon, and we're celebrating 30 years of this great competition. So it seems highly appropriate that one of the first voices from Game 1 is bringing us Game 30. Let's hand now to the ever youthful, ever splendid Miles Harris.
Yes, thanks, Martin. I've seen some sights from this scene, haven't I, over the years, and quite a contrast in preparation for these two clubs, of course. I was here listening to Bordeaux Bègles yesterday, and their coaches talk about how they feel so blessed to have such depth to be able to pick from at this time of the season, where the contrast with Northampton Saints and all of their injury concerns going into this match, and they are genuinely about to give fitness tests to a number of players in the warm-up now. So as it stands, Finn Smith will start, of course, as 10. Curtis Langdon's going to be in the front row for his 50th Saints appearance. Now, Alex Cole's knee was put right through a rigorous test at the captain's run yesterday, and at the moment he's okay. He's going to get another test shortly. There's a move for Henry Pollock to number 8. John Augustus knew all about his injury fate some time ago, and that's the back line. And the really good news there is that George Furbank is back for the first time since the quarter-final. That has to be a massive boost for the Saints, given his leadership and skill set. Now, what about Bordeaux Bègles? More choice then, and one of the choices that Maxime Lecou, as captain and his coach, has made is the inclusion from the off of Sivili Falatia. So Big Ben Tamafuna will big impact today. And we know all about the return of Damien Penaud. Been in the news over the last 24 hours. Many didn't expect to see him. A sensational recovery. He was in tears at the end of the semi-final. He thought his season was done. How wrong he was. Well, Penaud, of course, one of the major attacking threats in this match. Piecing together the Northampton attack is, of course, Sam Vesti, two-time finalist with Leicester Tigers in his playing days. Goody's old mate then, and the two have been having a catch-up.
Well, Sam, outside of Northampton, not many people would have given you a chance going to Leinster. How did you prep for that, and how did you sort of activate the plan that you did so well on the field?
People writing us off it's quite an easy place to play rugby from, isn't it? And as long as you go out swinging and giving your best version of yourself, we know we're a bloody good rugby team. And I think if we can put that on the pitch, we're happy to take anyone on.
Now you and Dowse, Phil Dowson, who's director of rugby, your head coach, the relationship with you, how do you manage that together?
Yeah, we work well together because I think he's strong at the stuff I'm not so good at, and you know, I enjoy being on the pitch, and he, you know, likes working off the pitch and you know, doing the culture and driving the people that side of it. Dowse does a lot. He does all of the really crap stuff, to be honest, and so it's a great relationship.
A bit like home.
Yeah.
A lot of the players have spoken freely and openly about how much they enjoy working with you because, you know, you encourage them to try things. If they make a mistake, it doesn't matter.
You've got to make mistakes to be able to get better, and trying to be better all the time. And my big philosophy around those boys is just allowing them to be as good as they can be, not getting in the way of people making decisions. But why did I try and tell Alex Mitchell where the space is? Because he's so good at it. Yeah. You're like telling Messi where to kick the football.
Talking about Alex Mitchell, I want to talk about Finn Smith a little bit.
For a guy who's not that old, he can drive standards. He in a really good way, and I'm just so proud to see that, to be honest.
Henry Pollock, A, how do you deal with his effervescent energy? And then B, you know, what's it like to coach him? Because he looks like a brilliant kid.
You know, he plays on the edge, so some of that rubs off the wrong way on some people, but, you know, you want to watch him, don't you? And I love coaching him, and he's a good kid. He's a really good kid.
Let's talk Bordeaux then, Saturday. Massive game for obvious reasons, and they're a massive team. How do you set your attack up? Do you change things for the game because of the size of them and trying to move them around, or do you stick to the DNA of how Saints play?
No, we are very heavy, stick to what we're good at, and I think if we do what we do really well, you know, we think we can beat anyone, any club team in the world. So if we can give Mitch fast ball and him have the ball up in the air and people running off and giving really good players opportunities to go and make good decisions, that's what we're trying to set up in the attack.
Yeah, mate, I wish you all the best for the weekend. Saints can bring home the bacon.
Cheers, man.
He's part of such a potent coaching team at Northampton Saints as Sam Vesti. There he is chatting with his opposite number, Noel McNamara, the attack coach for Bordeaux Bègles. And Pat, the importance of this coaching team. Phil Dowson described themselves as an old married couple. You need a coaching team that clicks, that works, that complements each other.
Yes, certainly do. And, you know, Chris Boyd came over from New Zealand, and he had these guys as their assistant coaches and mentored and set up a lot of structures, and then passed the baton over to Dowse. And obviously his relationship with his coaching team, but particularly Sam, is crucial. And when you're in a game like this, you've got to get your game plan right, and there's obviously a lot of trust in there. Probably the big area I'm really excited by is what they're going to do about the kick return, because both of them scored first and second in the competition for kick return, but both of them haven't conceded. So it'll be really interesting on what the tactics are, particularly around counter.
Well, this seems perfect. We're talking about the kicking game, so let's bring in a second row. What's your knowledge of the kicking game? Tom Lockett, thanks so much for your time. Earlier we were talking about team spirit. I just want to revisit that, seeing we've got you now. We were discussing it doesn't look manufactured, it's genuine within the Saints team. I'm guessing that's the case. How is it set up for today?
Yeah, I think it's a natural thing because we've all sort of grown up together. Like Colsey and Dinglers and those lads have grown up, and then we've probably got the next generation now of me, George Hendy, Henry Pollock, Tom Litchfield. We've all we're mates off the field, and then that is what you see when we get to game time, and that's something that you can't coach and you can't buy, and it's something that we're really lucky to have.
Okay, I think we've addressed that enough. Let's allow you just to cast your eye across the pitch to the Bordeaux Bègles side. What do you think's coming your way, and how do you, as an individual, negate what could be coming your way?
We know they're a really dangerous side on transition. So a big thing for us this week is killing that transition as quickly as we can kill it as possible. Obviously, we're a good transition side as well, so we're not going to go away from what we're good at, but we're going to kill the transition whenever we can.
When you go through your individual warm-ups, then go into your team warm-ups, who's the voice that drives it? Who puts the energy there?
Dingers is very good. He's a very calm head. Pollock's obviously a massive ball of energy, but you've probably spoken enough about him already.
We may have mentioned him once or twice. I think people know him. Look, I'm going to let you get back into your team. You've got to get through your warm-ups. I really appreciate your time. Go well today. What an experience. What a venue.
A good one.
Enjoy.
Excellent. Can I just say, it makes you... What a blessing that you can actually interview someone you can see eye to eye.
Hey.
That's what I like. That's what I like.
Your kind of guy.
Lawrence, let's get back to the coaches. Yeah. And Dan Biggar said that if he'd been coached by Sam Vesti years before, he would have been a better player. Good players need good coaches. The best players need the best coaches. Is that what we're seeing here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as Pat said, you know, Dowson's only been there for 3 years as the head coach after Chris Boyd. I think Sam Vesti was always a very attack-minded player, and he's taken that into his coaching. And look, your superstars on the day and big games like this, they can always produce the big performances because they do that at test level and international level. The key to coaching is making the players who maybe give you 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 to lift their quality of performance. And been very impressed with the Saints group. I think the balance today will be, yes, you've got to respect your opponent in Bordeaux. They're a worthy side, but focus on yourselves. You do what you do well, like they did in Dublin. They've got a great chance of winning.
Ben, Dan Biggar said that about Sam Vesti. He left, up steps Finn Smith. How much credit would you give to Sam Vesti for the emergence, the development and the excellence we're now seeing from Finn Smith?
Well, I think you went on about this brotherhood of a team spirit that they have, and you can see it all the way into the coaching stand. I just love to see Sam Vesti and Dow smiling and being positive in Leinster when clearly their hearts were shaken. I think you got to lead by example. If your coaches don't inhabit also that, it's complicated. So a Dan Bigger leaving for Finn Smith to come, you also need that calm and empathetic and charismatic, you know, friendly eye of a coach that Sam Vesti is. I've only known him as a player. He was a sensational teammate. So you can only see that, you know, shining through the pitch. He's quite unique at cracking up a joke, at putting a smile on your face to build that trusting relationship. And trust me, in a final, you're going to need that calm head. You're going to need that warming eye that's going to tell him, yo, just be yourself, do you, and then we'll see. So it's only a matter of building on that heart connection.
Opposite him, we have an opposite number in Mathieu Jalibert, and he's got more international experience. He's had a bumpy old road at times. What's the Jalibert story? Where is he? And for him, his coaching team, how much influence are they having on him?
Huge. Yannick Bru has a heart connection with his competition, won it as a player, won it as a coach, assistant coach with Stade Toulousain. And I think he's bringing that extra ambitious edge to Bordeaux that Bordeaux really needed. And Mathieu Jalibert comes into this flamboyant club, 25,000 people at Chabon-Delmas most times, you know, an attacking force, but quite disappointing in terms of silverware. I think people only know Mathieu Jalibert for his sparkle, his maverick side, and sometimes his poor international performances with a bit of an edgy relationship with Fabien Galtier. With the Bordeaux shirt, he's been head and shoulders the star player of this team for the last 4 or 5 years. He's done everything. You click highlights, Mathieu Jalibert, Bordeaux. He has done the entire palette. He, you know, can clip, drop goals. Maybe his defense sometimes is a little bit touchy-feely, but he's got the step of Marcus Smith. He's got the pass of a Finn Russell, and potentially he's got the kicking game of a Finn Smith. So he's a proper player that you want to see on the biggest stage.
He's dangerous. Pat, are we seeing two teams that really, the positives are similar? They both want to play a similar game. They both want to attack. Do they cancel each other out, or do they enhance each other?
Well, they both want to play their style, and both teams want a fast start, and they're 1 and 2 on the table for scoring the most points in the first 20. However, Bordeaux concede more than Saints, so that's going to be interesting. However, Bordeaux, as they go through the game, and then the last 20, they score so many tries at the end, so that's going to be the real test. Northampton need to get off to a really good start.
Well, Finn Smith is just one of these young tyros, so exciting in the Saints team. The mantra will be seize the day. There's one player who hasn't just seized it, he's grabbed the whole season and wrung every single drop out of it. Arrogant, annoying, naive, possibly, but one thing's for certain, Henry Pollock is all heart.
Just feeling that pulse, the heart rate, mad. That's what dreams are made of, literally.
Makes landfall in Paris. This kid's different.
This is what sport's about. This is why you play the game. This is why you do it. You do it because you love this game. You love the fans, you love the atmosphere, you love the sport.
It's another barnstorming finish from the shooting star of English rugby. He really is a showman.
To come out here, no fear, just going 100% at everything we did.
Oh, that line from Pollock. No, he's got the pace to go with this. On the outside! He's done it again. But today is on another level.
Why not us? We've been saying that all week. Why not us? Bring on Cardiff.
Yeah, if you hadn't heard about Henry Pollock at the beginning of the season, we've certainly all heard about him now. Goody's joined us, by the way. Sidestep security to get here. It's been an astonishing rise. Last summer, Junior World Cup with England. Didn't make his first Premiership start till October. Then he makes his England debut here. Scores 2 tries. Less said about the better shanks. Champions Cup final today, and he's been picked in the Lions squad. All this before his 21st birthday. I mean, if we thought the Pollock hype train was going to come to a shuddering halt against Leinster, if anything, it's just picked up speed, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. And ironically, at the start of the season, as you said, he couldn't get in the Northampton team. They were kind of holding him back a little bit because he's a huge talent, but maybe they didn't want him to get ahead of himself. But he's answered every question that's been put in front of him this year. And people were saying before the Leinster semi-final, yeah, he's done it in the Premiership and he's done it for 20 minutes against a Wales team that were poor, if we're being honest. But then he's come out and dominated that semi-final over in Dublin as well against Caelan Doris. Jack Conan, British and Irish Lions. I know Caelan's injured now, but you know, a wonderful performance. And week in, week out, he rocks up, he performs, and he's confident. So his rise has been meteoric, but also deserved as well. You know, the British and Irish Lions selection, fully deserved off the back of his X factor, star quality, and what he can bring to a game. That try he scored in the semi-final, not many back rowers in the world can score that. So, you know, we want him in that squad. No, absolutely no chance. John Barclay, did you ever make a line break? I didn't either.
One here actually for Scotland.
Was that in 2010?
Yeah, we can go over that if you want.
Talk to me about versatility though, John, because one thing you did do was play in all 3 back row positions with distinction, each of them. 7 by choice, as is Henry Pollock. Today he's got 8 on his back. Now, will his role change much, or is it simply the number on his back that's changed?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm him, I'm thinking it's the numbers changed. I think the great thing about Henry Pollock is he's got a point of difference, and his point of difference is that energy, that ball-carrying ability. I think as a young player, you sometimes think you'll have X-factor moment, but you almost question sometimes that consistency around the nitty-gritty side of the game. But the stats came up there, leads the competition for turnovers and tackles, so he's clearly very good at that side of the game as well. I think from playing at 8, he'll get his hands on the ball a bit more, just from launch plays, back of scrum, so he will find himself naturally in and around the ball. The challenge for him and for Northampton is to ensure he's at his best when it's loose. So how does he get himself in those positions where we saw that try against Leicester? How does he recreate moments like that? Because the rest of his game is world class. But the other thing we know is he's going to have a target on his back today.
He certainly is, and that's the point, Shanks. Not just a show pony, as some people might think, seeing those tries. He does all the grunt as well. He's up against a guy today, though, Pete Samu, who's been a colossus for Bordeaux Bègles all season. He's actually moving back to Australia at the end of this season, so he'll be desperate to end with a winner's medal.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the worry if you're Northampton, is the power that Bordeaux have got, because look at that back row. Like, Petit has moved up from second row into the back row. They've got a lot of power there. And I suppose this is the only issue, I think, with Northampton is, yeah, look, they can play wide, they can play fast tempo. But if the game changes slightly and Bordeaux want to go to a power game, I'm not sure whether Northampton can match that. Maybe they can. I said that against Leinster.
Yeah, against Leinster, and then you go RG Snyman, he made no yards.
Yeah.
McCarthy made no yards.
So he did it against Leinster.
So that's what they've got to repeat, haven't they? They're barring up defensively.
But what they will have is a really mobile back row. You know, Pollock, you know, he's a top turnover in this competition. You know, so that's one of the reasons and how they're going to stop Bordeaux. It's the stuff on the floor.
Yeah, 100%. Slow the ball down. They like transition play. They like broken field rugby to Bordeaux. So how do you stop that? Slow the breakdown down. Henry Pollock, top turnovers. Let's see it today. And he will answer that
question.
Chip and
chase, score a try. Easy as that.
If there's one thing we've learned from Northampton this year, it's that don't doubt them. Under any circumstances, do not doubt what they can achieve. Loads of Northampton fans here today. 100,000 fans across Cardiff in both the Challenge Cup final yesterday and the Champions Cup final today. The best figures in 10 years in this competition. We're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. Plenty more build-up still to come.
JQ, official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup.
The all-new Hyundai Insta 2025 World Electric Vehicle. The 2025 World Electric Vehicle is here and available for a 24-hour test drive. The all-new Hyundai Insta and Insta Cross. Are you in? Amazing deals this May at Currys, and with our price promise, if you find it cheaper, we'll match it. Get 10% off selected LG OLED TVs and 20% off all new models. Save £20 on JVC Roku TVs. Easily find your favourite shows, movies and sport from only $119. And save up to £400 on these Hisense QLED TVs with 144Hz panels, now from $449. At Currys.
When you paint by feeling, you can come home to a blooming good day. Change starts here. Dulux.
Whenever no car insurance gets in your way, temp cover for an hour or even a day. Temp cover when you need to share. Or if someone else needs to get you there.
You get us there.
When packing is beyond a joke, or it just goes up in smoke. And on that day, you pick it up new, woohoo! You could get a quote in under 2 minutes. Join the 3 million who got temporary insurance and get on the road.
Tempcover.com. What you gonna do?
At Amazon, we're using paper bags for more of our deliveries. And only adding packaging where it's needed. It's how we've reduced the weight of our packaging by more than 40%.
What you gonna do?
And again.
This is drama.
Batman back again.
Let's turn up the heat. Are you ready?
Glasgow come alive! Real Warriors! He'll go under the post!
Glasgow Warriors versus DHL Stormers. Live next Friday on Premier Sports 1.
JQ, official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup.
Well, the Principality Stadium is building up, the atmosphere is building up ahead of our Investec Champions Cup Final, but we've reached the business end of the season. Plenty of rugby still left to be played on Premier Sports. Our MLR coverage continues tonight just after 10 o'clock as New England face Old Glory. Next weekend is the penultimate round of the top 14 regular season. We'll have 4 games across Saturday and Sunday for you to enjoy. And next weekend we'll have all 4 URC quarterfinals live across Friday and Saturday, starting with Glasgow against Stormers on the Friday. And a reminder that Premier Sports is now available to UK customers on Sky Glass and Sky Stream with the launch of the Premier Sports app. Sky customers can now enjoy seamless access to the full Premier Sports lineup, which includes Premier Sports 1, 2, La Liga TV, and the newly launched Premier Sports Rugby, a dedicated 24/7 rugby channel. Well, this stadium was quiet yesterday as the teams went through their captain's runs, and there was a surprise for Australian back rower Josh Kemeny. His sister Megan coming in to surprise him, give him some support ahead of perhaps the biggest game of his life. He was clearly shocked, delighted to see her. He will play a massive part. Injury worries across that back row. Expect to see him interchanging with Henry Pollock from open side to number 8. A big day for the big Australian who's had such an impact on the Saints this season. Well, the fans, this is a day for them. Good number of them would have enjoyed yesterday. They're certainly enjoying today. And Claire and Ryan are out in the fan zone, hopefully safe.
Yeah, we are safe with some fans that are meant to be here and some that aren't meant to be here. I'm not sure what he's doing. It's pretty noisy down here. One question to you was, did you even bother going along to Leinster?
No, I didn't bother. I didn't think we'd make it through. But we've got to the final.
They've made it to the final, they have, and we've got some guys that look like they should be playing in the final.
They look amazing. I'm not going to win any prizes if I guess this. Who's your favourite player?
Henry Pollock.
Why is that?
Because he celebrates.
Oh, go on, let's have a Henry Pollock celebration. What's your favourite Henry Pollock celebration?
My favourite Henry Pollock celebration is this one.
Look at the sticker. They've even had stickers made. Hang on, there's a Bordeaux fan. Let's go have a word. Excuse me. Do you speak English?
Oh, sometimes.
Oh, hang on. Are you a Leinster fan in disguise? Be honest, are you a Leinster fan in disguise?
Oh, oui. There we go. I tell you, it's pretty rowdy down here. The chants are about to start, so let's get them going. Back to whoever we need the front.
Great stuff. You saw the young fans there with their Henry Pollock headbands there, of course, delighted that he's fit and healthy. But the big injury worries, they circled around Curtis Langdon, the Saints hooker. He's fit to start, as is James Ram on the left wing. George Furbank returns after his recurrence of his injury in the quarter-final. Fraser Dingwall, Tommy Freeman, Rory Hutchinson, Finn Smith, Alex Mitchell, a full international back line. Well, as for Bordeaux Bègles, they had concerns over Damien Penaud, he left the field in tears following their victory over Toulouse. He is fit. He was running around seemingly injury-free yesterday in their captain's run. But look at that back line. Lucu, Jalibert, Bielbarré, Mafana, Deporter, Penaud, Buros. It is a dangerous, dangerous side, but they are still looking for their first major piece of silverware. Might the hunt for that just put a little pressure on their shoulders? They will feel that they learned their lesson last year. Well, we talked about Sam Vesti, and Bordeaux have their own magician as an attack coach, Noel McNamara, and he's chatting with Claire.
Noel, you might be used to these sorts of occasions in UBB colours, but these are thrilling, uncharted territories for the club as a whole. Have you felt that in the town over the last few weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's an awful lot of excitement around. You know, obviously, I suppose the competition has been going on for a long period of time. We've invested a lot in it, and I think UBB as a club and Bordeaux as a city has really invested in it. You know, there's been sellout crowds since that first game against Leicester Tigers in Chaban, and I think there's a lot of excitement leading up to today. Hopefully, I think we're going to be outnumbered, unfortunately, by Northampton today, but I think there an awful lot of people will make the effort to be here, and certainly huge support in Quinceres in Bordeaux as well today.
And for all of that, you will be aware of the ghosts of playoffs past, the quarter-final against Harlequins events in Marseille at the end of the top 14 season. But what have you seen from this group, which suggests that they're emotionally ready to execute?
Yeah, I suppose, listen, all of those things are experience, aren't they? You know, the first thing last season against Harlequins, unfortunately, we came out the wrong side of it. You know, you mentioned a final as well, but all of those things don't define a group, they don't define a team, they don't define an individual. It's how you respond to them. And I think that response started very, very quickly at the start of the season, and we're very, very proud of how the boys have played. And, you know, regardless of what happens today, whether we come out the right side, whether we don't, it's still just a point in the journey of this group and in the journey of this club. So I'd like to think that we've learned a lot from those. I'd like to think that we've got players with experience of the big day, both with their international teams and with their club teams as well, and hopefully that will bear fruit today.
Noel, thank you so much for your time. Et comme on dit à Bordeaux, je vous souhaite gavé de chance pour ce match.
Merci beaucoup.
Well, he is in charge of a very potent backline, but Benjamin Kaiser, it is still a team, as you said, a young team. This Union hasn't been around for that long, still looking for its first major trophy. How important is the experience of Yannick Bru, who has won this tournament, in encouraging and moulding and directing these players?
I think it's huge. I think he's had a real impact on this Bordeaux side himself with a tremendous amount of international experience. He was the forwards coach when I was part of the French setup. Then he went down to South Africa, really learned. He's a curious mind, a very hard working type of coach, and he brought that mentality to talent. So he added discipline, he added graftness, he added the willingness to never settle for anything, average. And that's, I think, what the shake-up that this Bordeaux team needs. Now, are they going to build through years? Probably, but also do they need to seize the opportunities when they're there? Absolutely, because you don't know how many times it's going to get them to go again. And I mean, the guys around me will know better that it's always better to build a dynasty once you've won one. You've got the star in your jersey, you've got the reputation, you can attract better players, you've got something to hold on to. So I think today is a huge day for them, and Yannick's experience will be key.
Pat, the importance of Damien Penaud back in the side, looking fit, looking healthy. He's been sensational. He's a game breaker and a game maker, isn't he?
Well, these games you want all your best players, and he's one of the best in the world. And I think when you look at the way that Bordeaux play, they're not, interesting enough, they're not like most French teams rely on the power. They like to find the space, going through, going around or over the top. And you find a lot of the times Jalibert finds him on one side and Bielbarré on the other side. So, that French backline is a real problem. And ultimately today will come back to defence. You've been talking about culture a lot. Team attack wins you the game, team defence wins the championship, and team defence defines your culture. And that's what we're going to see, because you've got two good attacking teams, and it's going to come down to the best defence that will win today.
Lawrence, we focus there on Penaud, but Louis Bielbarré is just a superstar. He's catapulted onto the world stage. We know what he brings. How do you stop that?
Well, you try and keep him out of the game as much as possible. We've talked about the two attacks they listed between Penaud and Bielbarré. I think they scored 21 tries. I mean, if you give them the space, they will take advantage. But what we haven't talked about is the kicking game. And, in Freeman and James Ram, you've got, expect Northampton to kick. I was quite surprised, actually. They won that aerial battle against Leinster, and that was one of the key outcomes of the game, really, because, you know, as much as you can attack, you've got to attack in the right areas of the field. So two teams have talked about transition. How do you stop them? Well, if they kick loosely, Bielbury, Penaud, the back three, they're going to suffer. And similarly with Northampton, they've got an incredible back three as well. Maybe not at international level, but Freeman is scoring tries for fun at the moment. So the kicking game, as much as defence, will be crucial.
Just on the back of that too, because Bordeaux score more tries from their own half than they do in their own 22, more than any other team. So we talk about the kicking game. What's really interesting is the counter-attack of Bordeaux, yet Saints haven't conceded any tries from kick returns, from kicking the ball away. Their defence on their transition and chasing kicks is huge. So that's a real big moment of the game to see how that all pans out.
Ben, might the attacking flair of Bordeaux be their Achilles heel against this Northampton side, because they surrender the ball more than any other team?
It's possible, but look, both semi-finals gave us a lot of answers, I think. You question, or you mentioned the fact there's two very similar teams. Will one team play a little bit out of nature, play a little bit less, focus on defense? That's what I thought was going to happen in the semi-finals, and neither semi-finals gave that conclusion. They absolutely stepped on it at Aviva, and same did Bordeaux did against Toulouse, from minute 1 to minute 80 until one of them could potentially break. So that's why we're all so excited about this game, and that's why I think the nature is going to be who is going to be able to be absolutely themselves while staying disciplined, while staying accurate, while seizing all the opportunities that are there. And the one thing that I back with Bordeaux is their ability to do so, to attack, to put pace. The one thing that I'm scared of is that Bielbury will always be faster than Freeman, but in the air, one-on-one battle, he has that overly height dominance that proved key in the Six Nations. That's why I mentioned this Mitchell Finn-Smith cross kick to Freeman. I'm still scarred by it, and I don't want to see it happen again today for Bordeaux.
Yeah, both teams know the threats that either one poses for their hope to get their hands on this Investec Champions Cup trophy. And for Phil Dowson, he knows that the hopes and dreams of an entire town rest on this. They are fanatical about their rugby in Northampton and the surrounding area. He will be hoping that he can draw on the spirit of 2000.
An atmosphere generated by the biggest audience ever to assemble for a European Cup final, and an audience with a special Irish flavour. He's like a steam engine in full flow. Wilson hanging at that beautifully, and it puts Northampton ahead by 9 points to 8. That's a bit high by Bègles. O'Garavan, he stroked it well, it looks pretty good, but it's just past the left hand upright. Goes right out on the field. The referee's whistle goes for the end of the match. Northampton have won at last, and well, you can see how thrilled they are. This has been a great day for Fat Lamb and for Northampton. Fat Lamb, captain of Northampton, European Cup winners of 2000.
Well, Phil, thanks for talking to us. There's been a lot of chat this week. I've been reading all about the connections. Just chatted with Dingers, your captain. He spoke about it a lot. How important are they going to be tonight?
Oh, I think in any team game, they're huge in terms of the cohesion of the group and what they're playing for. And are we a team that's better than the sum of our parts? And certainly at our best, I think we are.
In terms of the youth that have come through, they're now becoming the leaders in this squad. Leaders are what you need in big games. Who are they, and how important will they be?
Well, you've already mentioned one, obviously, in Dingers, George Furbank, club captain this year, obviously been sidelined for large parts of it. There's leaders in lots of different ways in terms of Henry Pollock and Kurt Langdon with the energy that they bring to the group, and Alex Coles being the line-out nose and leading all those sorts of elements. So there's lots of different ways of doing it, and we're blessed, like you said, to have guys who've come through together who want to do that and want to step into that space.
You beat Leinster in pretty spectacular fashion. How do you make sure that semi-final wasn't your final and this is it today?
Yeah, I think, and I think we need to make sure we focus on our performance and make sure, you walk out there into that stadium and it's pretty exciting. And I think the players have spoken themselves around how that can't be the pinnacle of our season and that this needs to be it. And what does that mean for us as a playing group? What does that mean in terms of our performance and how we defend, attack, and run our set piece?
All the best. Go well today.
Cheers. Thank you.
Lawrence, another half of that old married couple. He'll be delighted his team are here, but there's a bit of disappointment that the defence of the Premiership wasn't at the level they wanted. This is a moment to put that right.
Well, listen, I think with the squad they have, last year they won the Premiership, maybe 2 or 3 players got international recognition. suddenly all your players are leaving the door playing international rugby. It becomes with different challenges. I think, listen, they're peaking at the right time. There's reasons why they're not in the Premiership battle. They lost Alex Mitchell for large chunks of the season. And, you know, I believe they're coming to the ball. They come into this game with huge belief and huge momentum. And that's down to Phil Dowson. They've beaten Leinster. Their performance against Saracens, albeit quite patched up, but they still came from behind and won that game. So coming in off the back of a victory, I think is really, really important. Bordeaux have lost their 2 last games, okay? Now, yes, of course they can put that behind them, but I wouldn't want to come to a final having lost the week before. And I think Northampton are here with real momentum and real belief.
Ben, one of the players the Saints were missing in the early part of the season, which didn't help them, was Alex Mitchell. He then got himself fit, was hugely impressive for England, has been hugely impressive for the Saints now. What is the threat that he poses, Bordeaux Bègles, and how does he match up against Luku, his opposite number?
I think it's very, very different to Maxime Lucu, who's a bit more of a Finn Smith playing at 9, much more composed, much more a dictator of tempo. I think Mitchell has got quite a unique ability, maybe like Ben Young's a couple of seasons ago, to add pace around the ruck. He's capable of attacking those fringes and being himself a threat of adding pace. And he can catch those big, Bordeaux forwards out of guard if they don't stick to the guns. I was lucky enough to be at Flankers Garlands for the game against Cast, where he was a nightmare for the Cast defense in the second half. Every time somebody's been just a little bit lazy, just a little bit over-complacent, he'll pick out those moments. And you can tell that he has the backing from his forwards and the backing from Finn Smith. So I think he's one of those guys you just need to keep an eye on, otherwise he will cause trouble for you.
And Maxime Lucu's threat that he poses for the Saints, what do they have to do to keep him quiet?
Maxime Lucu for me is one of the most underrated world-class players. He only joined top 14 about 6-7 years ago, joining from Bordeaux. Only has his real international recognition after coming off the bench for poor injured Antoine Dupont in Ireland, and since then he's been tremendous. He is adored within a changing room. He is adored within a coaching team because he learns, he's a hard grafter, but he's the guy that will put his body on the line for the team. He's a bit of a Morgan Parra in that sense. Maybe not as fast as Mitchell, but definitely a tempo setter, a real orchestrator and a fantastic distributor.
And how happy will Phil Dowson be to see the return of George Furbank? Broke his arm early in the season, took a bang in the quarter-final, back on the field today.
Again, big games, you need your big players, and Furbank, his form was massive before he got injured. So for him coming back will give the team a lot of confidence. As Lauren said, they're coming off the back of 2 really good wins, and then having him back is just another boost, and certainly helped Dingwall as far as the leadership goes as well.
Lawrence, he's a player who, when he got his England debut, had an uncomfortable time, regrouped, bulked up, worked on his game. He's come back, he's now world class.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not ideal to make your debut in Paris away, and when your coach winds up the French, but he's come back, and I think Chris Boyd put his arm around him and really looked after him, and he's developed into a top-class performer. And there's so much rugby left in George Furbank. Again, he's a stabilising influence in the big occasion for these young players. And another player I'd like to talk about is Josh Kemeny. Apart from his sister being here, he is really, really crucial to today. I think his performances in the semi-final, yes, he got sin bin, but it was a very strong performance. And I think he's one of those players that we don't talk about, but his impact on this team in terms of their belief, I think is really, really key. He'll swap with Pollock. He's happy for Pollock to take the limelight, but trust me, that guy works like a workhorse. He really does.
Okay, guys, do as you're told now. Quick predictions. Keep them quick. Pat.
Yeah, Saints 2 stars.
Saints.
Bordeaux by a point.
By a point. Lawrence.
Listen, I want the Saints to win. You play a team outside of France, you expect to win.
Okay, well, there you go. And we got the Lawrence look. Well, there we go. We're set up. It is going to be some game here in the Principality Stadium. Northampton Saints, winners 25 years ago against Bordeaux, looking for their first major silverware. What a script we had ahead of us. Kickoff is after this break.
J-Coupe, official automotive partner of the Investec Champions Cup.
There's a reason for the sunshine.